flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Gold.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you're listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes. To my left, Dan Tom. Back east, Danny Otto. And joining us for the first hour of the show, it's Julian Marquez, the Cuban Missile Crisis, or as they know him in Cuba, El Cohete Cubano. I messed it up.
Not a firework. It's a Cuban firework.
What is a missile?
I'm
A cohete is a rocket.
I thought a cohete was a firework.
It can be that too.
Oh.
It can also be this. Tiramos cohetes. Have you ever heard that?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do you know what a missile
What's a missile in Spanish?
A missile? No, I don't.
No? All right. How you been, man?
I've been good.
How's,
Just hanging out.
The thing.
The shoulder?
Yeah.
So I got back from the doctors in L.A. last night.
I got scared there when I didn't see the sling. I thought, ooh, is this more of a private thing?
No.
But you're pretty public about it?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we found out I tore my my lat.
Mm-hmm.
I tore the lat off the bone.
Ooh.
So I have to go in to get surgery to mount it back onto my bone.
But not the labrum.
No, I was lucky.
That's good news in a way, right?
Yeah, my rotator cuff and my labrum, which like when we were touching it and everything, we thought that's what it could have been. But no, it was it's my lat. So it makes perfect sense. Like the doctor was like, yeah, that's why you can't grab a hold of anything, pull it away, or push anything away because you're using a lat. So it's just hanging there like a buffalo wing. You know, whenever you bite into a buffalo wing, you still have the meat on there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just ripped off the bone. That's what
You ruined buffalo wings.
yeah. That's what I mean. That's what's going through my head when he explained it to me. So
When do you get the surgery?
well, Monday I'll find out with a guy, like the specialist that comes in, and then we talk. So we're trying to get it next week.
You want to get it done as soon as possible?
Yeah, I'm not trying to wait. I'm already right now. My body is just like came off of camp, so it's probably regenerating really fast. Everything's good. So if I can go in there and healthy, go in there and get my surgery, and then boom, just keep it there, my body will recover a lot quicker. That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if I did it like a month. Plus, I just want to get back in the ring, man.
I thought you won the fight, for whatever that's worth. I think a lot of people did. We've talked about this, but the scores that came in, there's 3 judges, there's 3 rounds, so there's 9 possible judges' scores. You actually got 5 of them. But the way it worked mathematically, he got the ones he needed to score the split decision win over you. One judge had it completely for you.
Yeah.
And then in 2 of the 3 rounds, 2 of the judges thought you won each of the 3 rounds. You see how that doesn't almost make sense?
Weird the way it works out. And
if in 2 rounds, 2 judges thought he won it, why isn't that round his? It's because that's going horizontal. But if you go vertically, how the judges turned in their scores, it's just this rare scorecard that comes in once every 6 months, and it's the ultimate. Like,
I was blessed
job.
to have that controversial scorecard, but I mean that's not how they judge. You know, it's how 2 judges see it. You gotta get 2 out of 3, and I mean it sucks. I don't believe I lost the fight because I went out there and was looking for the finish and I kept trying. But I mean, the judges said that that's what it is, and there's nothing I can do. I'm gonna fall forward on this one and just keep going, just keep training and figure out different stuff to go out. I have a lot of film to better myself for the next upcoming fight, and I'll have a lot more. I don't want to say a lot more drive, but having to sit here, gonna have to have surgery and sit here and not be able to do a whole lot of stuff and just have nothing but time. It's definitely gonna motivate. You just want to get the next win.
Only 3 judges scored it for DeSharico. Sorry, 3 media members scored it for DeSharico. I see about 15 for Marquez. And just to avoid confusion, Adelaide Bird had it 29-28 DeSharico. D'Amato had it 29-28 DeSharico. Dave Hagen had it 30-27 Marquez. Now what I was explaining earlier, maybe it'll make more sense this way. At the end of the first round, 2 judges handed in scorecards for DeSharico. Bird and Amato. Hagen said Marquez. Hagen said Marquez in all 3. In the second round, Bird turned in a score for Marquez while D'Amato stayed with DeSharico. But because Hagen had the 10 all the way through, that's what I mean by in round 2, 2 of the judges said, hey, I thought Marquez won. Only 1 thought DeSharico won. And in round 3, Bird turned in 10-9 DeSharico, but D'Amato turned in a 10, and Hagen's consistent 10 meant that in round 3, 2 of the judges thought Marquez won that in round 2, but it doesn't add up. You have to stare at it. It's like this mathematical stupid equation, and it sucks, man. You lose the win bonus, and then obviously the traction of being the guy coming out of a win who gets gets put in versus someone else. But again, you and I have talked, and the middleweight division can change, or any division can change so much. Like, look at Curtis Blades. He finished Mark Hunt, and he's going, what's up? I've only lost to Ngannou. I'm going to see what happens with Miocic and Cormier. I might get in the mix. Next thing you know, Brock Lesnar comes in. And I was just talking about this on Facebook with some junkies. And now him, Lewis, and Volkov have to wait till Cormier and Lesnar fight sometime in January when Lesnar comes off the USADA suspension. And then after that fight, let's hope the winner comes out healthy. Let's say the soonest they could fight is 3 months later, which would make it April. That one move of Lesnar coming in and everything that went in, and now that the UFC wants to get behind, it set those guys back about 9 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they can either sit there and wait, or they can take the fight. But again, that's the best case scenario. And remember, DC retires in March, and if Brock wins, then is he going to fight again, or does he just take this cash and leave? Who knows? But that setback, that happened. But the positives are also sometimes while you sit back, a lot of other stuff can just organically happen. Gastelum's in a great position right now. He lost to Weidman a year ago, and now he's fighting for a world title. And during that whole time, GSP interrupted things by butting his head in and fighting Bisping. They were on, they were off, they were on, they were off. In the meantime, Jacare, Rockhold, Romero, they're throwing their hands up going, what about us? We're the top guys. We're the top guns. You know what I mean? So 2 of them had to do an interim. And it's such a complete mess. And here comes old Kevin Gastelum. He goes out there, beats Bisping, beats Jacare, and now he's the guy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to be somebody that people want to watch, Like, it sucks nowadays, it's not about fighting the toughest person, not fighting this. It's about having the fight that people want to see, Like, Brock Lesnar and DC, I want to see that fight. Regardless of what anyone says, like, that's a solid fight. You're sitting there. I was shocked in DC's performance. I'm not saying that DC didn't have it in him to knock out Stipe, but when Stipe took some of those punches from Francis, and we're talking about Francis hits hard, you can see that they were hard punches, and he couldn't even put out Stipe, and then DC came in and then finished the baddest man on the planet in the first round that easy, and he looked phenomenal in that, coming out, and you're sitting there like, damn, like, what is he going to do with Brock Lesnar? that's a massive man, you know. And plus all the stuff that Brock Lesnar had prior, like I want to see that fight. I'll pay money to see that fight. I'll pay a lot of money to see that fight. Why? Because there's so many possibilities that can come off this, and so many controversial comments that are about to come off of this too. So it's just like it's what you want to see. Kevin Gastelum, I like watching him fight. You know, his fight with Jacare was, I mean, it was thrilling. Would you not agree?
I like that fight.
Like his performance in there, being taken down, constantly moving forward.
With like 4 minutes left in the round, too. He had to survive a long time with Jacare.
Yeah, Jacare is no slouch on the ground at all. And he was able to go there and just push it. And you sit there and think like, oh, Jacare's this, that, and the other. Jacare slept Brunson months before that. You know, and Brunson's an exciting fighter. That guy brings it every time. And it's like, you're just sitting here. These are fights that you want to watch. You know, these are fights as a fan that you want to watch. And that's how you got to keep it going.
You brought up Jacare.
Yeah.
And one, we forgot about him. We were talking, I don't even know if we did this on the air or off the air yesterday. But we were talking about what's scarier, a wrestler who's developed his hands or a striker who's developed good takedown defense?
I
always think Chuck Liddell, even though he did have background in wrestling, but his takedown defense mixed with the striking was great, right? And then when we think of wrestlers who developed their hands, I mean, look at DC. We kind of went through the champions right now, and it really was sort of split.
Yeah.
What about you? I mean, you get in there. What do you think is scarier?
Man, I think a person that's would be scarier is a person that can control every aspect. You know, a wrestler with or that knows how to throw hands that's scary, because there's a certain thing with wrestling that you can't show unless you've been in it. And that's whenever you're down and to the point where you just want to mentally break and you keep going. A lot of people will mentally break when they get to that point. You'll see it in a lot of fighters. You'll see it in a lot of different people. Like, how many times you've watched a fight and you're like, man, he just gave up. You know, that right there, you won't have that on a wrestler. So I think anything that has to do with wrestling, whenever they have that, that's the scarier fighter, because you know you're going to go. You know you're going to go. That person, even if they're rocked, they're hurt, they're going to still come at you. And they have the possibility of winning. But, again, I think the person that can control all aspects. So if you could throw hands and then go to the ground and you could still do jiu-jitsu, like, that's even more scarier than someone with a one-dimensional game with a secondary defense, I guess.
Let's get back to the injury, because I'm just sitting here going, like, how are you functioning? Like, the muscle's completely detached. From where again?
From my lat.
Your
so,
lat.
like, right here, this lat right here
right.
is not – it's not on the bone.
Off,
so it's just
off on back here or back at the top of the lat?
No, back on the back. So anything – so if, like, we're here, it's just this whole –
it's just not there. It's not attached right now.
It's not attached.
Not even hanging by, like, a thread
so,
or
like,
nothing.
yeah. So I ripped it right off the bone. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you take a wing and you, like, you know the wings, and you, like, pull off the skin and you just have that flab that's sitting between the two bones, that's pretty much what it is.
When did that happen exactly?
It was in the first round.
You felt it, like you knew right away?
Yeah, I felt something. I felt something like, almost like if you took a T-shirt and you tried to, like, rip it, and you just feel go, and I was just like, oh, something's wrong.
How does the muscle not roll up? Like,
I think I don't know, because the way they explained it to me was just, I was just kind of like sitting there like, what does this mean? I think it's just ripped enough to where it's attached on 2 points, but like in the middle.
Oh, thank God.
So like we can go in there.
Right.
Like, I don't know. We'll find out whenever they like actually go in. They showed the MRI, and all you know is black, white, and there's just a bunch of white right here, and they said it's just like bleeding, like if it was a steak.
He's ruining food. If you want to go on a diet, listen to
this is
him
this
break down
is a trip,
injuries.
man.
All right, this might be a dumb question, but I've been often thinking about all these injuries that we have and the way we recover. Obviously, we go back 50, 60 years ago. We didn't have these type of remedies, so people just kind of, I guess, live their life like that. Right now, are you in pain when you do certain things? Does it hurt, or is it just I can't be an MMA fighter with this type of?
No, right now, like I need to have surgery. One, because I don't want my muscle to be just chilling on the side of my body. I want it to be attached.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I need to do in this life, like grab something off the top shelf, like that helps. But I can't. So like I can lift my arm up, but like once it gets here, it just starts hurting.
That's it.
And the same thing going to the side. Like I can lift it to the side.
That's it.
It's just I can go up higher. It doesn't feel good.
You can't scratch an itch on your neck with that hand, at least. You can't.
Yeah, I can
you
do this.
Shampoo.
That was tough. I found that out last
You
night.
just did it with one hand.
Yeah, I just did one of these.
Yeah, kind of like
So it's cool.
cranium.
Yeah, it's cool. Like
exercise.
you can keep it in close, keep it in tight, and then just like go there, and it's all right. But like when I let it come out, more than anything is when it hurts. So.
What have they told you what the recovery time is on something
So
like that?
how they broke it down? Well, the person that I talked to was Dr. Kavitny, and he sent me to a Dr. Itamara, and he was out of town. He won't be back till Monday. So like to actually get the explanation from the doctor that's going to be doing the surgery, I won't really know until Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But what Dr. Kavitny said was that the process is that it's a specialized surgery, like. And Dr. Kavitny is the guy that works on all the LA athletes and everything about their shoulder surgeries or tendon surgeries. So he's like, hey, we're going to recommend you to this guy because you have a specialized surgery. Like it's very difficult and rare. So what it is that they'll attach it, and they said about 3 months of rehab is what's going to be. They said the 4th month you'll start training, and within 6 months you can get a fight. So I'm looking to be out a half a year. Which it's not really. I mean, it's kind of like I was out 7 months from my first fight to my second fight, which is still good. And during the process, I have the Performance Institute. So like I have Heather and Bobby there that I'm down the street, so I'm going to be there every day, rehabbing with them and doing stuff on my own, as well as like I have Matt Crowley and Bo Sandoval that are going to be helping me out with strength and conditioning, so I can be able to still work out the rest of my body minus this one area.
Wow.
So it's going to be, the process is going to be tough. It's definitely going to be a road to recovery, but it's going to make it that much easier, I guess, just because I have all these availabilities to me to help me get better, and to people around me that are going to help me get better. And then on top of that, the thought of getting back in the octagon, it's just going to help drive and motivate me. So
you seem like you're in a good mood. I've seen a lot of fighters in your position they get very depressed, they get very angry. The way the judges had everything played out, like George mentioned, it is kind of a shit situation because they kind of agreed that you won the fight, but it didn't play out on paper. You looking back at your performance, have you had a chance to watch it?
Nope.
All right, for just going off your memory, what do you think you could have done better?
Man, there's a lot of things that I could have done better. I tried to wrestle, but I wasn't able to capitalize on certain things. There's certain things I couldn't do, and I think my body knew it. Grabbing a hold of him, I couldn't hold on to him. I had to push him away. I had to create space for myself. But to be honest, there's always going to be, I can always Monday morning quarterback myself. Say this, say that. What's done is done, man. I felt good in there. I felt as if I was trying to go for the finish every single time. Any opportunity I went for, I wanted to fight. I wanted to win. And just because the judges said that I lost doesn't mean I lost, I'm falling forward on this one. It sucks. It hurts knowing that someone stopped you, but it's probably a good reason. If I would have won this with a broken arm, or not a broken arm, but if I would have won this with a torn muscle, like what would my thought process be versus losing with a torn muscle? You know what I mean? Like sitting there, oh, I'm 75% better than everybody else. Like, I don't even have my arm. Or now I'm looking at it as like, I only had 75% in that fight, and what would happen if I had more?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like now I'm motivated like even more, because it's like there's so much more to me than just that. Whatever it was, whatever happened on Friday, there's so much more, and I have so much to unlock, and I'm just ready to unlock it. I'm ready to find a team that's going to build me up.
Did you have a chance when you went back in? Because as you were walking out is when they were doing the post-fight interview, right? And
Yeah.
Detrico said a few things here and there. Did you have a chance to talk to him at all after the fight?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke, and the barrier of English was a huge factor. We talked into the green room, and he was a nice guy. He was telling me to go up a weight class. He told me that I'm just a striker, and that was cool, I guess. Like, I don't want to go up a weight class. I belong at 185, and I mean that was it. But again, it was just hard to communicate. He was very friendly. His team ended up becoming friendly. They said after the fight we could be friends. Fight's over.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about some other middleweight fights.
Let's go.
Israel Adesanya versus Brad Tavares. Adesanya came out the winner there. Pretty dominant win in that the judges, I think, gave him most of the scores across the.
Oh yeah.
There was 25 available scores here, and I think Brad may have picked up a round on two judges' scorecards, but it went all the way to the end. Brad showed a lot of heart. Every once in a while, he was been able to tag him with a big overhand right, but Izzy was very dominant with using his reach. And he had an array of strikes. You know, like you didn't know what was coming. But what were your thoughts on that fight?
Man, I thought Israel did great. I mean, the guy is a K1 kickboxer, or K1. He's glory. But regardless, man, like you already know he's gonna have an amazing style of striking and stuff. And I think Brad was in there, but I think Brad had a lot on his plate prior, and I think that Brad didn't show all of who he was. It just wasn't his night. And it was Israel's night. And Israel had a good game plan to go in there and execute. Like, again, they both know each other's styles. They both are on the same academy, the same coaches. So did Israel know what Brad was going to do it before Brad knew what he was going to do? Maybe. I mean, it sure looked like it. But I think Brad, that's not the end of Brad. I think he's going to come back a lot stronger and develop more. But let's talk about Israel, man. That dude is definitely the next superstar on this division right now.
What about Costa and Hall the next night?
I think Costa's good, but Uriah, he just jabbed him out so much quicker. Like the first round, if it didn't happen with the eye pokes and the punches to the nuts, like you could see Uriah, like you could see that kind of bothering him throughout the fight. Like it just went there, but Uriah was coming back with these jabs and just destroying. Costa didn't know what to do. He just had that relentless pressure. You give somebody that amount of time, like if Israel fought Costa, all he needs to do is control him with a jab and keep moving. And you got that big ring, like I don't know, man. That's a good one. I want to see that fight now.
Right away, you want to see them paired up, or you want to maybe let them fight a couple other guys and then have them collide closer to being a number one contender?
Who do you want to see him fight? Who?
Let me see. Names that jump. Okay, so I think one of them wants Weidman. I think Costa wants Weidman.
Costa wants Weidman.
Yeah.
Okay, so
because Gastelum has the next shot.
Yeah.
He coaches versus Whitaker on Tough,
yeah,
and then they fight at the end. So the guys that are left, I think Weidman's ready to go. Rockhold is still not an official 205er. He keeps talking about it, but I don't know what's going to happen with him. And then we're left with, Jacare coming off the loss versus Gastelum. I don't know what his health is. Romero, are they going to make him go to 205, or is he going to stay? But I mean, Branch I think's trying to pick a fight. Brunson's trying to pick a fight with Adesanya. That's right.
Oh, I can see that.
And I think the other ones are. Do you guys know about Branch?
You're kind of building it off of the JDS Kane thing, right?
JDS Kane about 6-7 years ago. Nobody wanted him to fight too early because at the time we needed opponents for Brock Lesnar. And we didn't want guys to eliminate each other. But you know what that was? Now that I think about it, it was hardcores not wanting the easy road for the superstar, which was Lesnar. Kind of like what happened with Mendez and Frankie Edgar a few years ago.
Yeah.
Conor should have had to go through either one or both of them. Instead, they had the two wrestlers with hands fight each other, and that was one less opponent for Conor. And then, what do you know? Even when Edgar won, he still didn't get Conor. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of hardcore fans that are very vocal don't want that type of scenario. Here it's different. Here I just think it's pretty cool to have two undefeated guys from different parts of the world, and for one to take the other one out, it just seems a little bit too soon.
I think business wise, both guys are like on that cusp of becoming really big names, and maybe if they had one more big fight like that, then you could maybe build that fight up where it would mean more. You could have it main event something. And
yeah, but I just don't know who you're gonna go with. I mean, we're gonna go top 5. Okay, so Costa fights. So we're gonna do Costa fights Weidman, and then Branch fights Israel. I mean that would be the only lineup.
And there's also Brunson out there.
I could totally see them making the Brunson fight. I know Brunson's calling for it, but call me crazy. I think that could actually be a bad matchup for maybe Brunson, in the sense of you think about who Brunson's kind of had trouble with: southpaws, switch stance fighters, guys who can counter, longer fighters, and those check boxes kind of go off to Israel, and then we saw Israel's wrestling making these kind of crazy jumps that a lot of us didn't expect. That kind of spells trouble. Now, I do like the idea of putting Israel against like a high-level wrestler and going that path to kind of see how far a ceiling's going to be. But I could maybe see them putting like Israel with more of a guy like maybe like a Thiago Santos or something, because Thiago Santos is a deceptively well-rounded game. He's been rounding it out at American Top Team, but he's also,
he's also coming off a loss, though.
That's true. That is true.
So you can only have the only people that have a win in the top or in the top area that you have Branch and Weidman.
Yeah, you're right. I keep thinking Weidman's coming off a loss. He is coming off a win.
Weidman beat Gaslam, so Weidman's in line for the next route. But since he was off and on layaway for recovering, Gaslam was able to move forward during that time. So that's why he's the #1 contender as we speak. But then you go back to Jacare. Jacare just lost to Gaslam. Then you go to Weidman. Weidman's coming off the win. But then you have Branch.
How about
who
Shoeface?
Just took off.
Has he won?
Who?
Shoeface. Antonio Carlos Jr.
Dangerous match from the grappler, right?
Antonio Carlos Jr. has somebody else. Who does he have?
He does. Yes, it's coming up. It's coming up too. I don't know how far it is away. Though,
yeah,
right?
it's a couple months. I think actually that person just got injured. Didn't you guys just post like his opponent got injured?
Let's pull him up.
Yeah, I believe so. I was going to say, to finish your thought, though, I think Derek Brunson would go better with the Paulo Costa fit if you guys were trying to fit him with somebody.
Well, how about let's go further than this. Let's pretend we're the matchmakers and Dana White, the Holy Trinity that we see every Tuesday over here at the Tough Gym. What do they want? Who do they want to win? I would think that they want Izzy and Costa protected.
Oh, yeah.
And the matchups to benefit them, right?
Yeah,
so now match up Izzy based on who you think Izzy could beat. And still, you could face the fans and go, buy that ticket, buy that pay-per-view. This is going to be a competitive fight, Well,
aside from the predicament that Julian just said as far as who we have coming off wins in the rankings, because, it makes it a weird jump. You either go, okay, you're facing Weidman, which means win or lose, you're in that top circle, which can be real dangerous to put a guy fast, whereas Branch, he doesn't have the name, but he's right there. He's got decent, some decent serviceable wrestling to go along with his excellent Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. It's a real, so you're going to lose Izzy off of a guy who, maybe is on the, older side and maybe the lesser name value. Branch is a real dangerous match for Izzy. So I don't think they do that. That's why I think they might break the rule and match him up with the guy that's coming off a loss. Because, again, Izzy's a guy you're going to want to slow build for star potential. He also fits that, Australian, New Zealand market. So where they always need headliners. You can only have Mark Hunt headline how many god darn shows at this point, right? They're going to need new stars there. So, I mean, and we've seen it before. When you need new stars, when you have to fill all these market requirements the UFC has, they don't mind making a matchup that might have the fans scratching their head, and maybe even the fighters going, what am I going to get from this? Because it delivers a product of what they want. It's that slow build.
We can spend the whole hour just talking about middleweights. I like this conversation, and we have a middleweight here in studio, Julian Marquez. He's joining us here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. But we do have to talk to Mike Bohn, who covered many events this past weekend, so we'll get him on. Hell, we'll throw that question to him to start things off. The middleweight landscape is pretty interesting, and I think I have an idea here about some fighters that are working off injuries and some matchups that are out there, and maybe we can make a little bit more sense of it. All right, stay close. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on Sirius XM Rush 93. have a lot of things going on. UFC gym, podcast. All right.
Charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Hear from some of the biggest stars in the NFL, like Aaron Rodgers and Larry Fitzgerald, when the NFL radio broadcasts live from the premier celebrity golf tournament of the year, the American Century Championship. Hear all of the interviews tomorrow morning at 11 Eastern on Channel 88 and streaming on your phone and on SiriusXM, connected devices, and speakers. Okay. I thought there was like some sort of a run-on sentence. It didn't feel right, but I read it wrong. Mike Bohn's going to join us now on the hotline. He was in Cali and Nevada for a few weeks. He had a nice run there. And
really, if we go back, it all started at Bellator, right?
Bellator, right.
He's had a long stretch.
He sure has. He's back in Toronto, and he joins us now on the hotline. What's up, Mike? How you doing?
Hey, I'm pretty good. It's definitely nice to be home. That was a long trip down to the States.
Yeah, but, you know, Laguna Beach, not a bad place to be stuck for a few days. I think that's down there with your pops. And then the fight capital of the world during International Fight Week, you didn't have it so bad, right?
No, definitely not. It was a great time. I mean, International Fight Week is always chaotic, if nothing else. The past few years have proven that. We've had main events or co-main events or anything falling apart during the week. So that drama just continued this year with the unfortunate situation with Max Holloway. So kept it all very busy. And then we had the Hall of Fame and 2 events and media days and everything. It was just a nonstop pace for about 4 or 5 days there.
Let's say you run into a buddy of yours that doesn't know much about MMA, and he goes, "Hey, what was the highlights of your trip?" What would you tell him?
Oh, man, that's tough. I think it's what we closed it with. I mean, watching Daniel Cormier accomplish that feat of knocking out Stipe Miocic, I mean, that knockout happened right in front of us on press row, just seeing the celebration, seeing everything that went down in the cage with Brock Lesnar, and then Daniel Cormier walking out with his kids, celebrating his 2 belts on the shoulders and everything. It's hard to really... Maybe it's just, you know, the final thing that lasted in our memory, but I think it's hard to argue that that's the highlight of the week there.
What was your low light?
Oh, probably Max Holloway having to pull out of that fight. I mean, you know, just very disappointing. I've been I was out in Vegas for 222. I was in Brooklyn for 223, and then for this, you know, came down hoping to see Max Holloway compete all those times, and for one reason or another fell apart. So, yeah, very disappointing. You know, I feel for the guy, for sure.
You get one more chance at this, Mike Bohn. What was your other low light?
MMAjunkie not winning Media Source of the Year at the World MMA Awards.
All right, I'll give you that one, but I was hoping you'd say MMAjunkie Radio not winning Best Programming at the World MMA Media Awards. But yeah, man, it was so much to digest. Like, these last 2 weeks, and even on Monday, I had to work so long on the rankings, and started doing a little bit of the booking and things like that. And then yesterday, Contender Series. It's only probably today when I get home and have a good lunch that I'll be able to
go
chill,
back to normal, right?
See what's on the DVR.
But even then, there's 2 Bellators this week. It's like it
kind
of lets up, but it doesn't. I don't know.
Is it PFL
and Boise? No, PFL's next week.
Next week, yeah.
And World Cup. The next game's going off. England versus Croatia. So it's been a fun summer. I'm not complaining, man. I'm not complaining. All right, Mike Bohn. One other thing here. Give us your thoughts on. I've heard your thoughts. I want to hear them again, though, now that you've had a few days to decompress. Lesnar and Cormier. Okay, look, the matchup, it kind of made sense when it was Jones and Cormier, because Jones technically wasn't the champion, or he wouldn't be the champion when he would come back, and it would just be a high-profile fight between 2 dudes that don't factor into the title hunt, I guess. I mean, I know that when Jones comes back at any moment, he's a contender at light heavyweight. I get that part. But still, when he comes back, I don't know that anybody was in a hurry to do Cormier-Jones Part 3 just yet. So I was okay with it. And then that night, all that hysteria and chaos in the ring, I got caught up in it. I loved it. I felt like, wow, this is going to be a huge payday for DC. It's going to be a big fight, big fight week somewhere. I got caught up in that. But now that I sit back and think, Lesnar hasn't won a fight since 2010. He was a former champ, I'll give him that. But he's nowhere near being a contender, and yet he's getting a title shot. I'm starting to dislike it more and more. How about you, Mike Bohn? What do you think?
Well, Brock Lesnar, I think we know by now, plays by different rules. So, the things, when was the last time he won? Does he deserve this title shot? That all goes out the window when it comes to this guy, because the amount of money that he brings in just overwhelms all those other avenues. And yeah, I mean, as a, kind of a purist of the sport, looking at it from that perspective, it makes no sense. It's silly. It just looks like a money grab, all those kind of things. And I think we're kind of smart enough to recognize that. But you look at the other side of it, Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic, what was it? It's being reported, I know it's still early, but people are saying between 300, 400,000 pay-per-view buys. I think people maybe expected more than that. And, the position the UFC's in right now, they need to put big fights together, so it doesn't surprise me at all that they're putting Brock Lesnar in there, because they know him versus Daniel Cormier or John Jones or whomever, you put Brock Lesnar in there, it's a huge fight. And then on top of the John Jones thing, if you can actually get him in there for a title fight, you have this whole scene with Daniel Cormier that you can use now to promote it, with him going in and cutting that promo and shoving him and just all the stuff that went into that whole scene after the main event went down. I can understand why the UFC is trying to go forward with it, because it's a huge fight. But of course, there's the drawbacks of him coming off a USADA suspension, still not even cleared to fight yet, and just the whole risk that goes into it. But either way, you have a title fight here where it doesn't really seem like whoever wins is long for the division. I mean, Daniel Cormier has his heart out of retirement for March of next year. If Brock Lesnar wins this, how long is he going to stick around? How frequently would he defend that title? Would he even keep it? There's just so many unpredictable elements for the fallout of this fight as well.
Right. All right. I did have something to say, but I want to say it correctly, so I'll wait. Goes. What do you have for Mike Bohn?
That was weird.
Well, you want me to go with my thing?
Well, I'm just trying. You have it in your head.
I have it in my head. This is what I want to say. Media, fans, and that promotion, the UFC, needs to figure one thing out. Either they have this $4 billion bill that they need to pay, so we need to expect crazy shit, out there, or they just had their highest earning year of $700 million in revenue, according to some website or some magazine that came out recently, for 2017. And remember, in 2016, they sold all those pay-per-views with Ronda and Conor, and they had their highest grossing pay-per-view. So either they're doing good, or they owe this big debt, but we got to figure out one or the other with our storylines, because if they owe all that debt, okay, go out and make all these fights. But you open yourself up to, when Jones comes back, what if he goes, well, I got the winner of Lesnar and DC, further fucking Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis and Alexander Volkov, who are going out there and winning legitimate fights. And what if Conor comes back and goes, I want to try 45 again? And so now does that fuck Brian Ortega, and now he gets to fight Max Holloway? You see what I'm saying? And what if GSP comes back and goes, well, now I want to fight at at welterweight fucking Colby Covington, who's the interim champ, and now he gets to fight Woodley, all because of the money fight, all because the UFC's in debt. So we either have to go with that, or it's their highest grossing year ever, according to Dana White, according to that magazine. And in 2016, they sold all kinds of pay-per-views. And if they did, then make it a fucking league that makes sense, where every fight counts. It's like a regular season, and then a playoff, and then a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. But that's not our sport.
I know, it's crazy. It's like, I wish this was a revolving chair and you guys could just give me some tequila, spin me around, I just fall asleep for the next 90 minutes. Because it drives me fucking nuts.
It's crazy, yeah. But it's awesome. Like, I like this.
I will give you that. It is awesome.
It is awesome, because the thing is that, look, if we just played by the rules, if we constantly did the same thing over and over, it'd be boring. Because then you'll have fighters that won't try to entertain. You'll have fighters running more than anything and just playing by the rules. And again, when you get a win, no one checks the comment box. But at the same time, like, tell me two people you want to watch fight. Like, you absolutely want to see that that both are going to go out there and throw hands, or they're both going to go out there and put it all on the line. And then tell me two people that you're going to be like, man, I don't want to see these two people match up.
Dillashaw and Garbrandt, I know are going to run out there and just...
They're going to kill.
Hell.
Yeah, they're going to kill. I want to see that fight. But then give me two fighters, in your perspective, that aren't going to be fun to watch fight. Who are two fighters that you don't like fighting?
I didn't like the stylistic matchup of Wonderboy and Woodley.
Wonderboy and Woodley, right there. Two guys that can knock people out, and they're awesome. But, like, did you really enjoy that fight? Like, I mean, I did. Not because I understood.
The first one, I gave him a pass on strategy and techniques. The second one was bad.
Yeah. Are you talking about Tyron and Wonder Boy, or are you talking about
Tyron and Wonder Boy?
You know, so when you watch that, like, is that something you really want to watch? You know what I mean? Like, it's not. It wasn't bad. It was strategic. It was intelligent. Tyron did what he needed to do to get the win, but at the same time, like, we're fighting.
Yeah.
Let's fight. Let's go in there. Like, forget the scorecards. How about let's just take away the scorecards and let's go until one person's standing. Let's go until one person.
Now you're talking about changing the whole sport, though, Julian. You know what I
it's
mean?
not,
like,
but that's how it should be. It should be you go in there for a win, and it should the scorecard should probably change a little bit.
Right.
Like, you have to have effective stuff, but that's the thing is, like, we know that when DC and Lesnar go at it, one of two things are happening. Someone's going to sleep, or someone's going to be really bored because they're both going to be running. But I can tell you, I don't see DC backing up, and I don't see Lesnar backing up. And I see someone trying to go for a shot, but they're both failing. They have strong enough wrestling, so it's going to be a puncher's shot. It's going to go there. And then if DC wins, it's just going to make everything that much better. But if Lesnar wins, then we have a new conversation. We're going to be sitting at this table, and we're going to be battling back and forth of what's next.
All right. Mike Bohn, now, when I said what I said, I don't want you to think that I was attacking you. I really do mean all media. I really do mean all fans, and I really do mean the UFC, because this back and forth thing about whether they need the money in the money fights and whether they had their strongest year, it's like, it drives me fucking nuts. It's got to be one or the other. But go ahead, buddy.
Well, it can be a little bit of both, too, right? I mean, it's like we're talking about Endeavor. These are business people. It's not like they're just like, oh, it was our best year ever. Okay, cool, let's go on. They think, how can we make even more money based off this? And they're getting this huge ESPN deal starting next year, and they think, okay, we can put on these huge fights involving the Brock Lesnars and the Conor McGregors and whatever. And if it means, screw the rankings or screw these fighters that have, actually put in the fights that make sense and the hard work to build themselves up to that point, they're more than willing to do it. And it's not like this is a brand new thing. You can go back, way back when they gave BJ Penn a title shot against George St. Pierre or whatever when he hadn't fought in that division in a while, and building super fights and stuff. It's not like this is a brand new thing. It's just happening more and more often now. And they're trying to, squeeze out the final dollars of the likes of Brock Lesnar and stuff. So I understand why they're doing it, but yeah, you make a fair point too, because it is a kind of revolving narrative. But people need to understand that it could be the most successful year the UFC's ever had, dollars and pennies wise, but in their mind, they're thinking, how can we make even more?
Mike, there's lots to talk about. Can we keep you through a commercial?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do that. We're going to put Mike Bohn on hold. Let's take a commercial, and then we'll come back, and let's discuss some of the other big things going on in our sport. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93, and we have Julian Marquez, UFC middleweight, in the house with us as well.
Do what they say. Your life will be a lot better. Here are Gorgeous and Goes.
All right, the guys talked me off the ledge there, and I want to bring back Mike Bohn, one of our writers for MMAjunkie.com and, of course, USA Today, and catch his work at Rolling Stone as well. Mike Bohn, I'm sorry, did we cut you off there, or do you feel like you've given everything as far as Lesnar and Cormier and the way the sport is headed and the way the matchmaking's headed?
I mean, we could talk about it forever, but yeah, more or less got out there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Goes, what do you have for Mike Bohn?
Mike, we had a daily debate not too long. I think it was last week, and I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on it because I want your opinion. It was about ordering pay-per-view and when fans actually do it. Do they wait a week out? Do they wait until weigh-ins are done? Do they wait till a few hours before the card starts? And it was mainly because of that Holloway-Ortega situation. You covering the sport, when can you finally just sit back and relax a little bit and know this is the card going forward and have that anticipation? When's that cutoff where you go, okay, I think we're okay here?
I mean, I think that's a hard question to answer as a journalist because I'm watching it no matter what, and obviously for work and stuff, and I'm ordering that fight and watching it regardless. And I think, at this point we've learned, I don't think you can actually be comfortable until you see those two fighters inside the octagon and the gate closes because, even going back to last year's International Fight Week, we had Amanda Nunes fall out of the fight the day of the fight against Valentina Shevchenko, just hours before it was supposed to start. You go back, I think, International Fight Week 3 years prior, we had Stefan Struve have a panic attack or some sort of issue backstage while the card was going on, and it was like halfway through the prelims, and they announced he's out of the pay-per-view, and we get a 4-fight pay-per-view going on. So I don't think you can ever be completely comfortable with knowing, cards subject to change, and that can happen until they actually get in there. And I think that's kind of the struggle with fans of the sport right now. They don't know for sure what they're getting. I mean, I report on it every day, it seems like. We've had, at this point, 20 main or co-main event changes to the UFC schedule so far just this year, and we're just, mid-July at this point. So those are the big fights, if anything. Those are the ones that people really are paying for. Like, yes, you can have a Jessica Aguilar getting ruled out by the commission, like, just before the event is going to start, but that's the first fight on the prelims or something like that. I don't think, of course, she has her fans and her family and her friends and stuff that are all disappointed tuning in to watch her fight, but ultimately, people are there and paying their good money for the tickets for those bigger fights, and when they fall off, the week of, the day of, that is a really serious blow to the morale of fans. They don't want to buy tickets until the week of, the day of. They're not going to order their pay-per-view any days in advance just because you don't know what you're actually buying until the event starts, and even sometimes then it can change.
And that's why I said it was a major decision for the UFC to have Volkov weigh in as a message to their fans that, hey, we're reacting in some sort of a way. Mm-hmm. If the DC Stipe fight had hit some sort of a snag, Volkov was ready to jump in there.
That and having another matchup in the same division on the same card. I like when they do that as well.
Right. All right, Mike Bohn, we got about 90 seconds. Your thoughts on this question. Paulo Costa and Israel Adesanya. Should they fight each other now, or would you like to let that marinate and build into a bigger fight? Both are undefeated. Both are coming off big wins.
At first, I was all in on doing them together, but I think as a little time has passed, I think it makes more sense to keep them a little further apart because that could be one of those fights that, say you look at a Max Holloway and Brian Ortega. They both fought at UFC 199. That was before Max Holloway was a champion. And you're like, oh, these two guys, amazing featherweights, on the rise, et cetera, et cetera. You could book them right then, or look what happened. You can, the fight didn't materialize, but we have it 2 years later. So, and look how much excitement, how much momentum there was behind it. You have, it was a championship fight at this point. So who's to say 2 years down the line, Israel Adesanya, Paulo Costa aren't one of those are your middleweight champion, undefeated. One of them's your top middleweight contender, undefeated. How much bigger is that fight at that point? So I think at this point, you do Adesanya against a Derek Brunson, maybe Paulo Costa against a, David Branch, someone like that, and just kind of keep this momentum going for both those guys, and then maybe, 2-3 fights down the line. At the very least, it's, a pay-per-view co-main event, something like that, or potentially even bigger than that, a title fight, something.
Mike Bohn can be followed on Twitter at Mike Bohn MMA. He tweets some really, really interesting stats. You got to follow him there. He's also responsible for Sean Shelby's shoes and Twitter reactions and lots of other great work he does for our site. Give him a follow again. It's at Mike Bohn MMA. Mike, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Let's do this more often.
Thanks, bro. Sounds good.
All right, see you. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Ray Sefo will join us here in studio.
Let's take a journey.
See, the problems I like to hear this song out a little, but you gotta let Julian go and bring in Ray. Well, I'll just start talking.
For a little while.
Well, we got that thing now. Letting it play some more.
Yeah, we need to figure that out if it was like an isolated or if it's more common. You like Katy Perry as much as Taylor Swift?
Love them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, I love Taylor Swift. I love anyone that can sing and that puts out good music. Like when you're cutting weight and you can listen to a song and it takes you somewhere else, then yeah.
Let me ask you this.
People
Would you rather go on a cruise around the world? It's going to take a year. You and Taylor Swift? Or a cruise around the world, you and Katy Perry, but I also hand you a briefcase with $1 million.
I'd go on a cruise with Taylor Swift for sure.
And not take the $1 million and Katy Perry.
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
Wow.
why would you? I
Why wouldn't you
know.
take the $1 million and go with Katy Perry?
What am I gonna do with $1 million on a boat for a year? Like,
Well, you get off eventually.
yeah, eventually.
Maybe earlier than you.
All right, so this is Julian Marquez. Things didn't go his way this past Friday, but he's staying positive. There's plenty of time to rebound while the middleweight division sorts itself out. Stay positive, Julian. Good to hear you didn't tear your labrum, which would be about a year out.
Yeah.
That injury is serious. It's kept Tyron, Demetrius, and Kane out for extended periods of time. But we wish you the best of luck with the surgery, and we hope to see you here more often because you're pretty close by, and we enjoy having you.
I enjoy being here, man. I appreciate you guys always letting me on here. So we'll do a whole bunch of stuff in the future for sure.
Text me on your way home, though, if you reconsider, because I think you played your hand wrong. Katy Perry and $1 million for one whole year on a cruise sounds like more fun than just Taylor Swift on a cruise for one whole year.
That's Taylor Swift's. I love it. I love the music.
All right.
Name 3 Katy Perry songs. Don't worry, I'll wait.
This one, California Girls.
Fireworks.
Hey,
Danny,
you can't help him out. You can't help him out.
And the other one would be Dreams.
Dreams.
Yeah.
Is that really one?
I don't know.
He doesn't know.
I don't know.
Just don't let this guy come up with a hypothetical for you to meet Taylor Swift, because it's going to get dirty.
I think he has some
I
wild
made up
ones.
Dreams, but it sounded realistic, right?
It did, yeah.
And he bought it. He went, oh, yeah, okay, he backed off.
Yeah, I mean, I was like,
all right, man. Thanks for stopping by, brother.
Thank you guys very
All right,
much.
See
You guys
ya.
have a good one.
All right. Let's get Ray Sefo in here. And he's fun, huh?
Yeah, it's always a good time, man. And
how about you, Dan Tom?
Even
Katy Perry and $1 million on a cruise for a whole year, or just Taylor Swift on a cruise for a whole year?
Oh, I mean,
slam dunk, right?
Yeah,
he just loves Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
so that's why it was a tough decision for him.
100%. I mean, with $1 million, you know how many girls that look like Taylor Swift you could buy? You have one of those sexy parties on the cruise ship, like you're Stewie from Family Guy. It'd be great.
That's funny. I love that little jingle too that they play.
Yes,
every time Stewie comes on.
Is this sexy party?
All right, there he is, folks. The president and matchmaker of the PFL, also a former 6-time world kickboxing champion, Ray Sefo, joining us on the hotline. What's up, Ray? How you doing?
I'm good. All
right, my man.
How are you guys?
Good, man. Thank you very much for asking.
Missed you yesterday at sparring. You didn't come in yesterday.
Yeah. I was at Contenders.
Oh, that's right.
Dana White,
right.
Contenders, yeah. But Big Mitts on Thursday, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ray serves people up, man. And he has so much fun doing it. Everybody else is stressed out.
I have more fun watching his defense, though.
Yeah.
That's the fun part to me.
Ray, no one's ever going, hey, Ray, 5 minutes. Nobody's calling. You know how they call each other out and goes 5, right? Yeah. Dan, 5, right? Yeah. Nobody's really going, Ray, 5, right? It's like, I think at the end, you just turn around and go, who's left? Oh, it's Ray Sefo. All right, let's do it, you know.
Sometimes. I mean, especially because there's a lot of guys there.
Yeah.
So we all got to kind of try, because there's 5 rounds. And so
sometimes 6.
Right, exactly. So you got to try and find who, set up way before the sparring starts, set up who you're going first, second, third, fourth, and so on.
I just never hear Ray 5. I got
I
you.
always
Sugar
I got you. I got you.
Right.
Be honest with us. You lay a lot of traps, huh, in your sparring? I always see you kind of like baiting people into things, and I haven't gotten this good at it, but I can kind of anticipate what you're about to do based on your little trap that you set.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing I always say that any fighter that's creative in the cage or the ring, you're always going to be ahead of the game. Again, I've heard, even just as a young fighter, I've heard many veterans, champions, whether it's boxing, kickboxing, or MMA, say that this is a game of chess. And that's exactly what it is. And so there are things where if a guy is just throwing the same thing over and over, then you set him up to throw the same thing so you can counter. If you go with a counter fighter, you set him up to counter so you can counter the counter fighter. So, yeah, absolutely. It's just over the years of constant repetition of sparring, training, drilling, you learn all these things.
So let's stay with that topic, actually. Why is it that a lot of counter punchers in MMA, I don't know if it's they're stubborn or they don't have a plan B, but when the aggressive fighter is going towards they don't go towards them like they expect. It's like they have no answer, and then the time comes off the clock, and all of a sudden they're losing rounds or losing fights. I've noticed that lately. Is that just very hard to, it's instilled in their brain, and they're very good at it, but I've noticed that it can cost them. In MMA, you only have 3 rounds, or 5 if it's a title fight. In boxing, there's 12 rounds. You can kind of sort this out a little bit, but
right.
Why is that?
Maybe part of it is that they don't understand that. See, most counterfighters are used to just being counterfighters, and they don't get countered. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when somebody goes, they're going to go after that guy. So, but once you learn how to counter a counterfighter, the counterfighter gets lost. And so, and then the counterfighter, if they're not training to engage, to set the guy up to throw the counter, then you're not going to get anything. You know what I mean? So, and there are a lot of fighters out there, counter fighters, there are aggressive fighters, and every now and then you'll see a fighter in between.
Like Jorge Masvidal, he used to lose a lot of split decisions because he's a counter fighter because he's learned that from boxing.
Right.
But when he's aggressive, he's pretty damn good. Stephen Thompson, same thing. He likes to counter, but sometimes his fights slow down because he's not getting the pressure he expected. Stipe Miocic, he was expecting Daniel to be more high pressure, and he wasn't. And it looked like it threw him off. And then even Francis Ngannou, he was expecting more out of Derek, and he wasn't getting it. But then when the rounds got banked, all of a sudden
that fight in itself. I mean, you listen. They both admitted that was a bad fight. That they didn't fight a good fight.
What do you think was happening up here? Two big dudes that can hit as hard as they can.
They were both afraid of each other. I mean, there's not one guy that I've ever been afraid of. When the bell rings, I come to fight. You know what I mean? So I always kind of put myself in that situation because I've been there. And if I'm hearing the crowd booing halfway through the first round, you can bet your dollar that I'm coming out, guns blazing in the second round. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't the case. Again, there was a lot of they respected each other's powers,
right?
And so one was winning on the other, and it turned out to be a absolutely terrible fight.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, they both have said that that was absolutely a bad fight for them. I mean, listen, it was so bad that the people were doing the Mexican wave during the third round.
Yeah.
You've never seen that anywhere.
The lights on the phone.
Right.
All right.
I feel for them.
Yeah, me too.
He said he thought it sounded like surround sound during the fight. He didn't realize they were doing the wave. That's why the sound was going that way.
Yeah, no, there was.
Yeah, we had Derek on Monday's show. Yeah. He admitted to it. Francis has apologized.
Right.
But I've been seeing a lot of counter punchers who are expecting pressure when they don't get it. Some of them can adjust, but some of them are also lost. And you know what I'm saying? You see a lot of film, right?
Yeah, I was going to ask Ray. Like, a lot of it, I bet, has to do with their background. Like, you guys mentioned Stephen Thompson. They were actually talking about Thompson versus Woodley before you got here, Ray. And it was clicking because, like you just said, when the counter guy's not used to getting countered, it throws them off. But you have those counter fighters where they're from, like, traditional martial arts base, where they're kind of staying back. But then you have maybe more of a different counter fighter. Maybe comes from more of a Dutch-style kickboxing where they can pressure and have those triggers to where when a guy throws, they're firing back and countering. But I was going to ask Ray, a guy I think does both pretty well, and he's done it at both weight classes. I think it's Rafael Dos Anjos.
Yep, absolutely.
I know, I know you might have been on the, Dunham, I think, was on the wrong end of the decision. That's another day. But I don't know if you were in the corner with him for that fight. But you look at him from back then to now, where he's really come, and you see him do both. He can counter, he can pressure and counter, and pressure. He does all three. And
that's why that guy has done so well, is because he can adapt to what the other fighter is bringing. Again, when you get I remember at a young age where one of my teammates and good friend, Jason Ramore, he's a very good counter fighter. But what I realized was that once I started countering the counter fighter, he was lost. And so, it becomes that chess game. And if the counter fighter can understand what's happening, again, it goes back to training. If you're training for a certain opponent, you got to train. If he's a counter fighter, you got to look to be aggressive, force him to counter, and then counter him on his counter. And most cases, they get lost. Mm-hmm. That being said, if he's training to be aggressive and then look to counter, it goes both ways.
Let's shift to PFL. You guys have had 3 shows. Your most recent show was in Washington, D.C. this past Thursday.
That's right.
Tell me what a little bit about each show and what each show
Ronnie, Ronnie, I'm on the show. Sorry. Call you later.
Each show, what you've learned that you've been able to carry to the next show. Because obviously this is a work in progress. It's a new format, but a lot of people are enjoying it.
What I'm learning is that there's a lot of commission suspensions because everybody's coming out. And it's crazy how – and I got to thank all my fighters because – they've responded to what we've said all along. You're not in a $10,000 season. You're in the $10 million season, and every fighter is looking to come and finish. And right now, I think they said something like the finish rate right now is something like 80%, which is absolutely great and amazing. But I got to commend my fighters for actually responding to coming out and trying to finish and earn the highest points you can earn. So what I've learned is that in the fighters doing so, there's a lot of finishes, stoppage, and also there's a lot of suspensions that comes along with it. And so, thank goodness that we have, 4 or 5 alternates that can fill that spot until the guy's suspension is down or his injury is fine.
To be fair, subsequent seasons will be over the course of a year. This is an
Correct.
abbreviated season.
Right.
So you are going to have lesser time
Right.
for recovery.
Exactly. Obviously the season started a little bit late this year in June. But listen, I couldn't ask for a better start because all the PFL fighters have come out and showed, not only to themselves, but to the world that PFL is here to stay. The way these guys are fighting, the way they're looking to finish, I couldn't be more proud of these guys. They're really putting it on the line.
May I add another metric to what Ray's saying as far as the message getting through and the ways you can measure that message getting through is that I don't have a stat in front of me, but I can guarantee you that to stand on the right side of this statement is that a big portion of underdogs are hitting too in these. I mean, you obviously had the record back-to-back ones, which we're sure we'll touch on here with Shields and Cooper III,
Right.
and as well as Nurmagomedov and Pavel Kush.
Right.
But just in general across the board, and the way I looked at it was interesting. We saw the big names. PFL came in. You said, okay, well, they got the big names. They're going to draw attention with those names. But as a hardcore, I was getting excited about these gems that you guys pulled
Right.
across from the world. But what's surprising me is not so much the veteran names we all know or these up-and-coming gems, but there's this whole middle ground of guys we might consider journeymen, and not meaning that as a negative at all.
Right.
Like Lewis Taylor, who we recently had on the show.
Rick
And these
Story.
guys are showing up, man.
Right.
Like everybody, doesn't matter what you want to genre or stereotype these fighters as, everybody is showing up, and it's crazy.
Absolutely. And you've named, some of the names that when we went into the last show, obviously Jake Shields is a huge name. Abu Bakr is a huge name. And those two fights got upset that night. And it wasn't just a small upset. It was a huge upset. And to see that happen. Now, listen, these guys are veterans, and they're great at what they do. And I'm assuming that they're going to adjust and come back stronger. But we just found 2D stars, you know what I mean, in the cause of the last show. So, I mean, we're constantly finding these new guys. And again, it's everybody wants to come in and get to the playoffs. And so for them to do so, they got to come out and finish.
This is your baby, and for
Right.
as excited as you are now, talk about the excitement that's about to come when the points always matter.
Right.
They're going to play more into the system as these fights go on. Can you talk a little bit about how that's going to shake up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're about to go into the second round. Next week, the second round of the regular season starts. And absolutely the points matter because those points are going to allow them to get to the playoffs. And it's funny though because, somebody had asked me, well, I thought they just win and they go through. I said, well, you can't rely on that because you could have a guy that wins 2 regular season fights by decision versus a guy that comes out and finishes 2 fights in first round and second round. Now he's got 11 points. You know what I mean? So that 6 points might not carry you through to the playoffs. And so no one had, you can't let your guard down and you can't just rely on the fact that you just won.
Secretly, the moment that I'm waiting for is to hear the commentators say, Fighter A needs a knockout here in round 3 to be able to advance.
Right.
And to see the picture or the video of somebody sitting in the back or whatever, just waiting for that scenario to play out, that's what I love about the system. That's what I can't wait to see.
Right. And also the fact that, again, we go back to the last show. What happened with Jake Shields and Abu Bakr, it is the fight game. Anything can happen. But you never know until that bell rings. And then when it rings again, when it's over, you go, wow. So it's the thing about the format, this format, it's you never know who could come through. And then when it gets to the playoffs, it's even more surprising because someone might get hurt, that the lucky loser could step in. Like, there's so many variables and excitements that can go within the season.
You know, with the changes here in the format, a lot of people aren't used to that. A lot of people are digging it. Also, the commentary booth, right? There's 4 guys in there, and everybody has a different thing to bring.
Right.
Can you talk about the evolution of that? We're now 3 episodes in. How have you liked the way everybody's been chiming in that?
Oh, I think Boss and Randy and Todd and Eve. I mean, they do an amazing job. I mean, they're all very knowledgeable about the sport. They've been there, they've done it, so they know exactly what's going on in there. And they can call out who needs to do what, to get to where. You know what I mean? So it's exciting all the way around. I can't thank my whole team from our office in D.C., our office in Vegas, our office in California, as well as New York, that everybody's working together to make this thing happen, as well as our fighters. You can't thank them enough because, again, like they've answered the call every single time that bell rings. They're coming to fight. They're coming to win. They're coming to really try to push the boundaries to get to the playoffs.
I think if you're a fighter and you're going back watching your fight and you listen to that commentary, how do you disagree with anything those guys have to say? That
you
wealth
can't.
of knowledge there, like how can you even disagree?
Right.
Hall of Famers across the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ray Sefo is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. We've talked about the first 3, and we can continue talking about the first 3, but we also have PFL 4 coming right around the corner, headlined by Lance Palmer and Jimubek Turshon. So we're back to the featherweight division.
And the heavyweights, yep.
And the heavyweights. Let's talk about that main event. Lance Palmer, man, he's relocated. I've seen him at Extreme Couture. Comes from Team Alpha Male. Came from Ohio State. That dude's a stud, my man. He's when you talk to him, he's intense.
No, he is. The thing about Lance is that he trains hard, and I've always known Lance to be the guy that always brings it. But with the new format and the fact that he's fighting, like he loves the fact that he can fight 6 weeks later, and then being that all these guys have the equal opportunity at the end of the season to not only become a world champion, but also to have $1 million check to go home with. And that's a huge driver for these guys. You know what I mean? That the fact that they could, it would change their lives. It allows them to, again, I've said all along, is that, we're going to have 6 guys that can live the American dream 1 year to another. And then, again, they could come out and repeat it next year. So it's life-changing money for these guys. And Lance is, just seeing him in the gym is, he's just hungry. He's like every time I say, "How you feel?" He goes, "Man, I'm ready to go." You know what I mean? And you're right. He is intense because his goal is he wants to be world champion. So it's good. And the other thing what I love about my guys is that when I tell guys, "Hey, listen, your opponent is suspended, so we're gonna have to fill in, to get the alternate." They're like, "Hey, boss, put them in there. I have to fight everybody anyway to get to the finals."
Yeah. And
that's the kind of attitude that I love, because that's the attitude that you're gonna need to get to the finals to become champion, to walk away with $1 million.
Yeah, and he's a wrestler, so he's used to that format. You
Right.
show up, you don't know how the thing's gonna play out. You may even wrestle, a teammate.
Right, exactly. And that's very possible.
Andre Harrison versus Nazareno. Versus Nazareno Maligari is your co-main event, and then we're also seeing some heavyweights are back in action. I wanted to ask you, are you guys constantly adding to the constitution? Like your rules. A few guys have come in overweight, and so you have to make decisions on the fly. Or were you able to prep for some of these scenarios already?
We did. It's in the regs and rules.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody has to make weight.
Right.
If you don't make weight, whether you win or not, you don't earn any points.
Right.
So it's very important that they make weight.
Even the last notice guys like Escudero, same thing.
Correct.
So you're letting everyone know, be ready.
Right.
Best thing. Yeah.
With Escudero, when I called him, he said, "Yeah, no, I'm on weight, blah blah blah." He turned up, but he had missed 2 flights. So by the time he turned up, he was, I believe, 7 pounds over or so, and then the commission, it could have been, he was 7 or 8 pounds over, and then when he was cutting weight, he weighed in, checked his weight, and the commissioner wouldn't allow him to finish the last half an hour. I'm not sure why, but maybe because they thought he didn't look too good or too great. So his weight cut had stopped. Nevertheless, he didn't make weight, so he didn't earn any points for that fight. Although he won, he didn't earn any points.
You guys are going to Long Island, New York.
Correct.
And that's a little bit of a hotbed of MMA. You know what I mean?
Right.
We recently just had a guy inducted in the UFC, Matt Serra, one of the pioneers.
Right.
But Chris Weidman, Ali Aquinta, Andre Harrison. There's a lot of fighters based in Long Island. I think you guys are gonna have a great turnout.
I think so too. Again, MMA is so huge, right throughout the U.S. So I think it's going to be a good turnout. But I think the show is going to be even better, just because a lot of these guys are going to want to earn points, and a lot of these guys are going to want to stay at the top of the point scores, and so. I'm excited.
It took the UFC a long time to go there. Everybody's so focused on the city, but I always thought Long Island was a good spot. I think you guys are going there twice, and Washington D.C. Right. So it's good that you guys are kind of trying out new arenas.
Well, we had a great turnout in Washington D.C. and we're going there again. But I mean. I can't thank the fighters enough. I mean, when I think about our fighters, it just excites me because every single one of these guys are coming out and just putting it on the line. It's amazing. It's really cool to see these guys not only respond to what the $10 million season is, but just the will to kind of push through to get to that, that world title and $1 million.
I asked you this. I remember this. I asked you before the season started, not just because of the money, but because it was a different type of a concept. And by then you guys had your media day in Florida, and the fighters had gotten great feedback. Hey, these guys are really treating us like professional fighters.
Right.
And, I really feel wanted here. But now you're 3 shows in. Is your phone and your email blowing up even more for season 2? Has that feedback come across as well with other fighters that want to be a part of the PFL?
Absolutely. I mean, there are names I can't name on the show until they're cleared, but there's a lot of good big names that have hit me up and want to come to season 19. 2019.
Oh, 2000. Okay, I was like, wow, these guys are really forecasting. And just so we're clear,
I'm just foreseeing what's coming.
Right.
Yeah.
2019. Will those be $1 million years as well?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Oof, man.
You think season 19? He's over at the kids' class, like, hey, you got what it takes, kid.
Yeah, little 3-year-old. Hey, listen, season 19.
My son is already signed. No, just kidding.
All right, let's take a break, and then we're gonna do some calls, and then we'll continue talking about PFL. Not only the 3 shows that have passed, but PFL 4, which is coming up on July 19th in Uniondale, New York. Fight card includes Lance Palmer versus Jimabek Turshon and Andre Harrison versus Nazareno Magalari at the top. Frantamar Barroso versus Jack May, Alexander Almeida versus Steven Seiler. That's going to be a really, really good fight right there. So lots to talk about here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Let's see. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here are George and Goes.
The Killers are playing a private show for SiriusXM subscribers at the Stephen Talk House in the Hamptons. We have your chance to be there. One grand prize winner will win a trip for two and tickets to this very special show. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/thekillers. Do that before July 18th. No additional purchase is necessary. If you heard a roar about 10 minutes ago, it was from...
Ray Sefo walked into the studio.
We have people here in the sportsbook that are watching Croatia versus England. This is the second semifinal. Of course, France beat Belgium yesterday. So they're in the World Cup final, and they await the winner of this game right here. Now, England is up 1-0, and they are 31 minutes into the first half. All right, so let's take some calls here. We'll start off with Oreo in Alberta, Canada. Patch him in, Danny, please, if you can. What's up, Oreo? How you doing?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good, good. So, hey, guys, did you see the list of the Ultimate Fighter?
We were just talking about that.
Tom was just talking about it, and there wasn't very recognizable names. Tom thinks that perhaps the attractive PFL may have swayed some of those young bucks to shoot for $1 million rather than become the next Ultimate Fighter. I don't know. Can you confirm that, Ray? Did anybody tell you they had that option or anything like that? Or
no, not yet.
Okay.
No, I haven't had that kind of phone call yet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was more looking towards the featherweight, and I don't know if you guys follow Victor too much, but most of the chicks are 135ers.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So I just had a quick question for Ray. Ray, as you know, you're doing probably next year you're doing a 45 tournament. And other than Kayla Harrison, what's your strategy on getting girls to be in the tournament? Because I don't see. I mean, if UFC can't get any chicks to be on the fight, I don't see how any promotion really can get chicks to fill that tournament. You know, and before I go, can you tell me where I can catch PFL in Canada? I don't have NBC Sports Network, so where in Canada, what channel can I catch it in Canada? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Oreo.
The answer to your first question, I 100% agree. And right now, I can't really go into the female season, whatnot.
Has that been confirmed if there will be a season for the... Or not yet?
No, not yet.
Have you confirmed any weight classes for next season?
Right now, it's still the same as featherweights to the heavyweights.
Okay, but you may add?
We may add, yes.
All right, cool.
But, we need to kind of discuss that with the team as well as our, TV network partner and whatnot. So, can't really go too much into that, but the way you can watch the show, PFL, any of the shows, it's live on Facebook worldwide. Now
that's Pro Fight Live, by the way.
What was that?
And it's facebook.com/Pro Fight Live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Pro Fight League is your Facebook page for the up-to-the-date news, but when you guys stream, it's Pro Fight Live.
Right.
Yeah.
I've just known it. See, you know more than I do. I've just known it as Facebook Watch.
Oh, okay.
Right. So see, you're learning something from me, and I'm learning something from you.
Yeah. You're an MMA junkie, man.
Right? Exactly. But if you're in North America, you will see the Facebook part of the show. But then when it goes to the TV part of the show, you got to have NBC Sports or cable or something like that in it. So I'm not sure exactly what that network is in Canada. But if go to one of your friends who who has that channel, I would assume somebody would know in Canada. But it's the first half of the show is on Facebook Watch or Facebook Live or whatever it is.
Live, yeah.
Yep. And then the second part of the show is on NBC Sports Network.
All right. Let's go to the next guy. Kevin in Chicago. What's up, Kevin?
What's up? Man, we're really missing Big John these days. Because
Big John McCarthy?
Big John McCarthy. We need him back as a referee. Mark Goddard, he separated Damian Maia and Usman when Maia had his back. Maia actually had a hook in and had Usman's back, and he separated the fight. And then this recent fight with Stipe Miocic, he warned Daniel Cormier 4 times, keep your hands down, quit poking him in the eye, and didn't even take a point. We got to start enforcing these rules, otherwise what's the point of even having rules?
And, I mean, it's just all across the board. They're going to have their good days, their bad days. If you look at the Uriah Hall fight, I mean, a lot of people thought the shots that he took to the groin really affected him in that fight. So that's just kind of what we've learned throughout the years is they go in cycles. They have their good days, their bad days. But Big John, Herb Dean, they've been doing it the longest, and they're probably the most consistent at it. But even they've had their bad days.
Well, I would agree with the first thing you said. Of course we'll miss Big John. He's a great referee. He helped set the rules, you know. But even Big John's made mistakes, and they are humans. It's up to their discretion with what they're seeing. They communicate very well with the fighters now, something they didn't do as much 10 years ago. And I think the fighters are in better positions to adjust to what the referee's looking at. So I think Goddard is an exceptional referee. I think he's good personally.
I'm just surprised Kevin's not coming at Mark Smith. I feel like Mark Smith in the last 2 weeks have been on like the end of a lot of controversial calls. I don't think he was wrong on a lot of them, by the way. And I'm always a little partial to Mark Smith, local guy here. But yeah, he feels like he's been under the gun lately. But anyways.
And I had a question for Ray. So how's this work? Jake Shields lost. Now, is he out of the tournament?
No, Jake Shields has one more fight for the regular season. Every fighter gets 2 regular season fights to earn points to qualify for the playoffs.
But he's been cleared he'll be able to fight the next one?
I'm told that he should be okay.
Okay.
He should be cleared by the time that comes around.
Do you guys have the flexibility to buy him some time on a card, like one of your furthest fight cards out? All the welterweights don't have to fight together necessarily, is what I'm getting at, right? Or
so
is that your preference?
We do have a card August 30th that is allocated for guys that get suspended a long period of time, guys that are injured. So there are some fighters that has been moved to that card.
Gotcha.
A perfect example, if you look at our PFL 4 coming up, there's 2 fights that's actually been pushed from there to August 30th. For the reasons of them being suspended for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. So that's the purpose of that card.
Okay.
Yep.
There you have it, Kevin.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
See you, buddy.
Thanks, Kevin.
Oreo, listen up. I think I have an answer for you regarding Canada, so I'll give that as soon as I get it. Dan in Oregon, what's up, buddy?
What up, gentlemen? Ray, thank you so much for making my Thursdays just that much more enjoyable watching PFL.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem, man. I remember back to, I guess it was number 2, and the 185ers, Halsey versus Rama. I think it's got to be fight of the year so far, even though it only lasted 2 rounds.
Right.
And my question kind of stimulates off of that fight. Chicago ruled those fights as like a 3rd-round stoppage when we all know it was the 2nd-round stoppage. Are these guys going to get their total 5 points like they should?
That's the thing. So because the way that is ruled, again, I'm agreeing with you. If the fight ended in 2nd round, at the end of 2nd round, it should have been 2nd round. But for some reason, they go by the old boxing rules. And so what happens is because the bell rang and he wasn't able to continue because the doctor stopped the fight because of the cut right after the 2nd round, they call it a stoppage in the 2nd into the 3rd round. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I can't change that, nor can I answer that. But so because it was officially scored as a 3rd round stoppage, Halsey only gets 1 extra point or 1 bonus point. Another thing that happened with, I think it was Thiago and Robert Watley, where
Tavares,
sorry.
Yeah.
Where he gets kicked in the groin in the second round. He's given five minutes to recover. Obviously, he doesn't recover. Because he didn't recover, and because listen, it wasn't Robert Rawley didn't do it on purpose. The kick just went and it landed where it shouldn't have. But anyhow, in my opinion, I thought that might have been a no contest. They
100%.
They actually awarded the
that
fight.
was a winner by dick kick. I've never seen that.
A winner by TKO to the guy that caused the injury. I obviously had talked to the commissioner on the side, and she said those are, the old boxing rules, and those are the rules that they go by. So, I mean, obviously they need to change that rule, because I'd rather be punched in the groin with a boxing glove and then getting kicked with a full shin, in a fight. Mm-hmm. And so, obviously, there's some things that the commission could do to help, the sport, but also to help fighters not, and especially with the PFL, with the point system, that could have been a no contest. And but it is what it is, and unfortunately, we can't overturn or change that.
Did you ever consider possibly intervening in that situation, or was it just opening up a can of worms?
Well, no, I did. I had questioned it, and the answer was that those are the rules that they have, and those are the rules that they go by. So obviously, they haven't changed the rules. Where most of the states, like Nevada, California, a lot of the states have adjusted the rules so that it fits MMA, because there are kicks and punches and and whatnot, and takedown submissions. So with the Chicago State Commission, obviously that hasn't changed yet. So at some point, I think they need to look at it and hopefully make some adjustments.
Dan, anything else?
Yeah, man, I just hope, as a fan, I hope the company just decides to give Halsley and give Cleveland one extra point, put an asterisk by it, call it whatever you want, and say, when we go to Chicago, this should happen. We don't care what they say. We're going to count it as it rightfully should be. That's what I would like to see as a fan. So take that to the PFL. Love you guys. Peace.
See you, buddy.
Thank you. The only problem with that is because we go every state we go to, the decision that's made by the commissioners has to go. We have to stand by it, because if we make exceptions in one, it means we're going to make exceptions everywhere, and that becomes a problem. You know what I mean? So, and again, a lot of these, because I've had people, hit me up on social media about this, but what they need to understand is that it's the commissioners that approves a show to go to that state. So if we go against what the commissioner's ruling is, they might not approve us to go back there.
Right.
So a lot of these fans need to understand that it's the commissioner that has that authority or power, to say, okay, we want your show here.
Right.
So you got to follow by go by whatever the rules of that state is.
Okay, I have an update on Oreo's question. So what we've been promoting here on MMA Junkie is that the main card is on NBC Sports Network. Mm-hmm. And so for us, that's channel 220 if you have DirecTV, and if you have another cable or satellite provider, you got to check what NBC Sports Network is, but it's available in many homes, all right? For you internationals, like Canadian Oreo who called in, the Facebook prelims, the posts, they have a pre-fight show, followed by the prelims, and then they have a post-fight show. All that streams live on Facebook.com/ProFightLive, which was what I mentioned earlier. Now, that's different from Facebook.com/ProFightLeague, which is their official Facebook page. The live streaming is ProFight Live. When Ray said Facebook Watch, he was correct as well. So if you go to just Facebook.com/watch, it'll take you to all the available live streams that they have of other sports and other types of programming, right? And if you put PFL, it'll take you to that particular page, which is ProFight Live anyway. So we were both in the same direction.
Right.
That's available worldwide for the main card. So worldwide audience, that's great news for you all. Americans, we watch it on NBC Sports Network, but worldwide audience, you have the ability to watch the prelims, the main card, and the post-fight wrap-up show, again, on Facebook.com/ProFightLive, or go to Facebook Watch and do the, Facebook.com/watch, and then do the search, because there's a lot of different streams that are available. So,
just one correction there. And for the fans and for everybody that's listening, there is no prelims. There is no main card in PFL.
That's true. Yeah.
The first fight matters just as much as the last fight. It's just that our media partners is Facebook and NBC.
Yeah.
And there are certain times that, obviously it's going to allocate for the card.
Right.
So, again, the first fight of the night is just as important as the last fight of the night.
Right.
And we're not calling it prelims main card. It's Facebook Watch card, TV card.
Gotcha.
So that because, and I made this very, the last 3 shows, I wanted to make that as a point because some guys think they're on the prelims. No, there's no such thing as a prelim in PFL.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that's fighting the first fight is just as important as the last fight. Reason why is because everybody is looking to earn points to get to the playoffs, to get to the championship.
Ray, quick question for you, and then we got to go to break. Who decides who goes on TV and who stays on Facebook? I'm sure
I do.
You're a part. It's officially you?
Yep, officially me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the easy question for any fighter that wants to know, how do I get on TV? Perform?
Exactly.
Okay.
Again, like I said a little bit earlier, the guys that's on, if you look at the guys that is in the next card for PFL 4, 3 of those fights were on the Facebook Facebook part of the card.
Right.
But because the way they came out and performed, Alex Nicholson won by a flying knee, which was I think number 2 on ESPN that night. So a lot of those guys, some of those heavyweights that was like second, third fight on the Facebook card are now in the TV card because of the way they performed. So again, I'm going to reward these guys as how they performed on the night, and so some of them are going to make it to TV and some of them will be on Facebook. But again, when you come out and you look to finish, you'll be on TV.
Yep. All right, we got to take a break, and when we come back, we'll do our daily debate. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius 67 Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
I know.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Barstool Sports is heating up your radio this summer, bringing their unique flavor to sports and pop culture stories that are trending this week, like the World Cup, NBA free agency, and much more. Enjoy content by the Common Man for the Common Man on Barstool Radio, Power 85, and streaming on your phone or at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Goes asked me, do you think Ray's going to like our music? I told him, I have a feeling. Oh, no, it's what a feeling, right? Oh, what a feeling? Sorry, I messed up. I messed up my joke. All right.
We knew where you were going.
Let's do the daily debate, and it's great that we have Ray here to chime in because he's fought before. He's worn the executive side of things as well, and so we'll see what he thinks. So this is based on this upcoming weekend. Which of these upcoming fights, from UFC Boise to Bellator 202 and Bellator 203, are you most anticipating? They're all going down this week, folks. Julia Budd, she defends against Talita Nogueira. Eduardo Dantas faces Michael McDonald. Junior Dos Santos faces Blagoy Ivanov. And Patricio Freire defends against Daniel Weichel. Dan, Tom, which one are you anticipating the most this week?
I gotta say, as much love as I have at this rematch that's brewing between Daniel Weichel and Pitbull, I gotta go with maybe what might be more the obvious pick, which is Blagoy Ivanov making his debut. We get to see him make his debut as a talented southpaw judo-based or maybe sambo-based. Most of you know him for beating Fedor, but he gets to make his debut finally in the UFC. We get to see what Junior Dos Santos has to offer, so I'll go with that one.
What an extreme couture homer you are.
I'd have to agree with that one.
You're such an extreme couture homer. No, I'm just kidding. So am I, of course. Yeah. I want to see Blagoy debut in the UFC versus Junior Dos Santos. It's going to be a great fight. But Freire and Weichel, the first one was awesome. And if it's anything like that, like Goz said yesterday, a hootenanny, a barn burner, a heart stopper. What else? A slobber knocker and a...
Did England just score again?
No, it was a replay.
Yeah, it's halftime. But that would be my close second. I don't know what McDonald has left in the tank. Dantas has been awesome for many years, but I can't choose them all, so I'm going with Dos Santos and Ivanov. That's you too, is Ray?
Yep.
You like that one?
Yep.
How about you, Goz?
Some fights, as Ray said, are chess. Sometimes you get a chess player against a checker player. Sometimes you get two checker players. This is Hungry Hippos, Pitbull and Weichel. It's going to end quickly, and it's going to just be a lot of this. I'm in for that fight.
You're in for that one?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Goes against the grain. 446 votes came in. 63% went for Junior Dos Santos versus Blagoy Ivanov. In second place was Dantas versus McDonald. And then the last two were pretty close together. First, Freire and Weichel at 6%. Bud and Nogueira at 4%. But I guarantee you, if you all went and found Freire and Weichel won, you'd see what we were talking about. It's going to be really, really a good one as well. All right, there you have it. That's today's Daily Debate question brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio crew and PFL President Ray Sefo, former 6-time kickboxing champion. Ray, it's been great to have you back here in studio. Thanks for joining us here, talking about PFL 1, 2, and 3, and of course 4 is right around the corner next Thursday.
Yep.
The season's unfolding very nicely. It's been very exciting, and it's been a wonderful addition to our sport.
Thank you, and obviously, it's always great to see you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, tomorrow, this is what we're working on. It's going to be a packed show. Actually, Goz has been doing some booking. So, do you want to announce it, Goz, or do you want me to say it?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so tomorrow we'll start off with Paulo Costa. He'll be in studio with us, UFC middleweight. He defeated, unfortunately, your guy, Uriah Hall. But, man, it was an awesome fight, wasn't it?
It was a good fight. It was a really good fight.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of people thought that groin strikes, kind of helped cause what happened. But, hey, listen, this is the fight game. Anything could happen.
Yeah. So, Paulo will be in studio with us. We'll also be joined by Drakkar Klose. He got a win this past week as well. And Bristol and Aubrey Morendi from Flip or Flop Las Vegas, they will visit the studio. So, that's going to be pretty cool. Did we lock in our last guest or no?
No, not yet.
Okay, so we'll hold on to that
I don't think it's going to happen.
No? All right, we'll hold on to that one. It's going to be a fun time. Earlier on today's show, we also had Julian Marquez, UFC middleweight, stop by, and Mike Bohn, and again, Ray Sefo from the PFL. All right, folks, we are out of here. We're going to enjoy the second half of Croatia versus England. It's still 1-0 England. The winner goes to the World Cup final against France, who defeated Belgium in yesterday's semifinal. And the World Cup has been a ton of fun, man. We've had a blast. All right, folks, for Danny back east, Dan here to my left, Goes, and Ray, I'm George. Have a nice day. We'll see you all tomorrow. But in the meantime, go out there and be a champion.